The deadliest poisons are not the ones you drink, but the ones you think. There is an invisible epidemic sweeping across humanity. It is not a biological virus, but it is far more deadly, for it does not kill the body, it kills the soul. It is an epidemic of the mind. Silently, without your conscious consent, your mind can become infected with poisons, toxic habits of thought that paralyze your will, corrode your ambition, and guarantee a life of quiet desperation. The deadliest poisons are not the ones you drink, but the ones you think. In this message, we will not offer you simple motivation. We will conduct a deep diagnosis. We will identify the 7 principal mental poisons that are secretly destroying your life, and we will give you the specific, powerful antidote for each. Prepare yourself. The cure begins now. A mind that hesitates is a mind that suffocates its own power. To understand the power of this #1 mental tool, we must first dissect the disease it is designed to cure. We must understand the nature of the invisible wall that separates the 2% from the 98%. That wall is built from a single, flawed material, inaccurate thought. Now, what do I mean by this? I am not referring to a lack of intelligence or a lack of education. The world is filled with brilliant individuals who live in poverty. I am referring to a lack of mental discipline. The truth is that most of what passes for thinking in the world is not thinking at all. It is the automatic, unconscious repetition of secondhand information, inherited prejudices, and deep-seated fears. The average mind is not a creative instrument. It is an echo chamber. It simply replays the same limited, fear-based programs that were installed in it from birth. This is the great deception. Believing you are thinking for yourself when in reality your thoughts are not your own. Where does this programming come from? It is installed in us from our earliest days. We absorb the beliefs of our parents about money. If they believed money was scarce and hard to come by, that belief becomes a silent guiding principle in our own subconscious mind. We are conditioned by our educational system, which often teaches us what to think, but not how to think for ourselves. And we are hypnotized daily by the mass media, which understands that fear is the most effective tool for capturing and holding human attention. The news constantly broadcasts a narrative of crisis, of lack, of danger, and the undisciplined mind absorbs this narrative until it accepts it as reality. The result of this lifelong passive programming is a life lived by default. A person's financial condition becomes a direct printout of this secondhand, fear-based thinking. They believe their limitations are real, when in fact they are merely inherited ideas. They see a new business opportunity and their mind automatically replays an old program of caution and fear, and they call this being realistic. They see a wealthy individual and their mind automatically replays a program of envy or suspicion, and they call this having an opinion. But it is not. It is the running of a program. The antidote to paralysis is a single, decisive step. So, if most of what we call thinking is merely the passive repetition of inherited fear, what is the alternative? How does one break free from this hypnotic rhythm of mediocrity and begin to think for oneself? It requires learning to use the one mental tool that can shatter the echo chamber and allow you to hear your own voice of reason for the first time. This #1 mental tool is called accurate thinking. In its most practical form, it is the learned ability to do one thing with supreme skill, to separate cold, hard facts from the hot, emotional haze of opinion. This may sound simple, but it is the most difficult and most valuable of all human disciplines. Let us define our terms with precision, for clarity is the foundation of power. A fact is something that can be proven to be true independent of your feelings or anyone else's. The company's revenue declined by 10% last quarter. Is a fact. It is raining outside. Is a fact. A fact is impersonal and has no emotional charge. An opinion, on the other hand, is a belief, an interpretation, a story that you or someone else tells about the facts. The company is doomed to fail is an opinion. This is a terrible, depressing day is an opinion. The mind of the 98% is a chaotic soup where facts and opinions are blended into an indistinguishable mush. They hear a fact and immediately wrap it in a thick blanket of emotional opinion, and they cannot tell the difference between the two. They believe their feelings about the facts are the facts. This is the source of all worry, all panic, and all poor decision-making. The master of accurate thought, the mind of the 2%, has trained themselves to act as a mental surgeon. When presented with any situation, they skillfully dissect the facts from the opinions. They take the cold, hard facts and lay them out on the operating table of their mind, examining them with detached curiosity. Only then, after the facts have been isolated and understood, do they begin to form their own opinion, one that is aligned with their definite purpose. They understand that what feels true is often a lie whispered by their fears. They choose to be guided by what they know to be true. This discipline is not a gift, it is a habit, the result of rigorous daily practice in mental analysis. It is the act of refusing to be a slave to your own unexamined emotions and the unexamined opinions of others.
Doubt is the rust of the soul, corroding your faith in yourself.
Let us see how this powerful tool works in the real world, in the arena where fortunes are made and lost, the world of finance and investment. Imagine a piece of news flashes across the screen. The stock market has dropped 500 points today. This, and this alone, is the fact. It is a neutral piece of data. Now let us observe the reaction of the inaccurate thinker, the person who lives in the reality of the 98%. Their mind immediately receives this fact and wraps it in a story of fear, a story they have been conditioned by the mass media to accept. Their internal narrative screams, "This is a disaster! The market is crashing! My investments are being wiped out! I'm going to lose everything!" This is a powerful emotional opinion. This fear-based interpretation leads to a panicked chemical reaction in their body. From that state of panic, they make a disastrous decision. They call their broker or log into their account and sell their investments at a loss, thus making their fear a self-fulfilling prophecy. They have reacted to their story, not to the fact. Now let us observe the accurate thinker, the 2%. They see the very same fact. The market has dropped 500 points. They consciously perform the mental surgery. They separate the fact from the public hysteria. They refuse to accept the popular opinion of panic. Instead, they begin their own analysis based on their definite purpose, which might be long-term financial independence. They ask empowering questions. Does this event affect the fundamental value of the sound companies I have invested in? Is this a sign of permanent collapse, or is it a temporary market correction driven by the fear of the masses? As Napoleon Hill taught, could this be a rare opportunity to acquire valuable assets at a discount precisely because others are panicking? Their interpretation is not driven by the emotion of the crowd, but by their own logic and purpose. They may decide to do nothing, trusting in their long-term strategy. They may even decide to buy more, taking advantage of the fear of others. The external event was the same. The mental tool they used was different. One led to a panicked loss based on an inherited opinion. The other led to a calm, strategic action based on an independent analysis of the facts. This is the difference that, compounded over a lifetime, separates poverty from wealth. The poor react to the story of fear. The rich respond to the reality of facts.
Faith is not seeing the path, it is walking it anyway.
The most dangerous opinions are not the ones that come from the outside world. They are not found in the news or in the mouths of your neighbors. They are the ones that originate from within your own mind.
disguised as your own voice. Your fears, your doubts, your insecurities, these are your most persistent and persuasive inaccurate thinkers. You must now learn to apply the rigorous discipline of accurate thinking to your own internal dialogue. Your fear is not a fact. Your fear is an opinion, a vivid and emotional story your mind is telling you about a potential future that has not happened. When the voice of fear whispers, "You are not good enough to apply for that position," or "If you start this business, you will fail and be humiliated," the accurate thinker does not accept this as truth. They challenge it, like a skilled lawyer cross-examining a hostile witness in the courtroom of their own mind. They demand evidence. You must do the same. When a fearful thought enters your mind, place it on the witness stand. Ask it, what are the facts that support this belief? And what are the facts that contradict it? You will often find that your greatest fears are built upon a foundation of sand. They're supported by a misremembered event from 10 years ago, or an imagined catastrophe that has a 1 in a million chance of occurring. And when you list the facts that contradict the fear, your past successes, your skills, your definite plan, you will find that the case for your fear is incredibly weak. By consistently applying this process of internal cross-examination, you do two things. First, you strip your fears of their power. Fear thrives in the darkness of unexamined thought. When you drag it into the bright light of factual analysis, it often withers and dies. Second, you build the profound habit of self-reliance. You stop being a slave to your own emotional whims and start trusting your ability to think clearly and logically even when you feel afraid. This is a profound act of self-mastery. It is the act of choosing to be guided by the light of reason, not by the fleeting shadows of your own unexamined fears. This commitment to mental clarity is the foundation of the X of mentality. If you are ready to challenge your own limiting beliefs, go to the comments and declare, "I challenge my fears."
Fear is a prison built with the bricks of what if.
Once you begin to master your internal dialogue, you must then apply the same rigorous discipline to the constant flood of external influences that seek to control your thinking. The sixth step in developing this #1 mental tool is to master the art of filtering external influences. The mind of the 98% is a sponge, passively absorbing the dominant opinions of their environment, the news, social media, their friends, their family. They mistake what is popular for what is true. They allow the fears of the world to become their own personal fears. The accurate thinker, however, has built a mental fortress. They understand that public opinion is the cheapest and most abundant commodity on earth, and often the most inaccurate. They treat every opinion they encounter, whether from a respected expert or a close friend, not as a fact to be accepted, but as a piece of data to be analyzed. They listen respectfully, but they always reserve the final judgment for themselves, weighing the information against the known facts and their own definite purpose. You must learn to do the same. When you hear a piece of news that is designed to provoke fear, you must ask, what are the verifiable facts here? And what is the emotional narrative being sold to me? Who benefits from me feeling this fear? When a friend gives you advice based on their own fears and limitations, are you sure you should start that business? It's so risky. You must thank them for their concern, but then subject that advice to your own logical analysis. Is their opinion based on facts or on their own personal, fear-based programming? This requires immense courage. It is the courage to stand alone in your own judgment, even when the entire world seems to be thinking differently. All great achievements in history were brought about by men and women who had the courage to trust their own accurate thinking over the popular opinions of their day. They were called fools, heretics, and dreamers, but they were armed with a clear understanding of the facts and a definite purpose, and this made them impervious to the criticism of the crowd. You must guard the gates of your mind, and the price of entry for any new idea must be that it is based on verifiable fact and aligned with your definite purpose.
Courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. The tool of accurate thinking does not operate in a vacuum. Its power is magnified tenfold when it is guided by the North Star of a definite major purpose. A clear purpose is the ultimate filter that allows you to practice accurate thinking with supreme efficiency. Without a purpose, your mind can become lost in a sea of endless facts, analyzing everything but achieving nothing of consequence. Imagine you are the captain of a ship. The world is a vast ocean of information. Currents, wind speeds, weather patterns, astronomical data. A captain with no destination is overwhelmed. All information seems equally important, and they are paralyzed by the sheer volume of it. But a captain with a definite destination, a specific port they are determined to reach, is different. Their purpose immediately tells them which facts are important and which are irrelevant. The wind speed in their immediate vicinity is a critical fact. The tide patterns on a distant continent are irrelevant noise. Their purpose allows them to filter the infinite data of the ocean and focus only on the handful of facts that are essential to their journey. So it is with your mind. When you have a clear, definite purpose, it becomes easy to separate important facts from the trivial many. You no longer get distracted by information that, while interesting, has no bearing on your mission. Your purpose gives you a powerful sense of clarity. It allows you to focus your mental energy like a laser beam on gathering the facts and making the decisions that will move you closer to your goal. Furthermore, your purpose gives you the courage to discard the opinions of others. If someone offers you advice that contradicts your definite purpose, you can simply discard it without emotion because you know it is not relevant to your journey. Accurate thinking without a definite purpose is like a powerful searchlight with no one directing it. But when you couple this N1 mental tool with a burning desire for a great purpose, you become a master of your own destiny.
Worry is the act of paying interest on a debt you may never owe.
While accurate thinking is a personal discipline, its power can be amplified to a genius level through the principle of the Mastermind Alliance. You must not only learn to think accurately yourself, but you must surround yourself with others who practice the same mental rigor. Your Mastermind Alliance becomes your personal council of accurate thinkers. It is a sacred space where you can bring your plans and your problems to be examined under the clear, unbiased light of reason, free from the emotional fog of your own personal biases. The great danger for any individual, no matter how intelligent, is that they can become trapped in their own perspective. We all have blind spots. A true Mastermind Alliance is the tool by which you can see your own plans through the eyes of other sharp, analytical, and supportive minds. When you present an idea to your group, they will help you dissect it. They will challenge your assumptions. They will ask the hard questions. They will force you to separate your hopes from the hard facts. This process is invaluable. It is like submitting your plan to a friendly but rigorous scientific peer review before you invest your time and fortune into it. Furthermore, the collective intelligence of the group can analyze facts and connect them in ways that you alone could not. One member may have a piece of specialized knowledge that sheds a new light on your problem. Another may have a past experience that helps you avoid a hidden pitfall. When these minds are blended in a spirit of perfect harmony, the third mind that is created is the ultimate accurate thinker. It is an intelligence that is unemotional, purely logical, and focused solely on the attainment of your definite purpose. The greatest leaders in history, from Andrew Carnegie to Henry Ford, did not rely on their own thinking alone. They surrounded themselves with a cabinet of accurate thinkers and used the power of their mastermind to build their empires.
The future is imagined. The present is where your power lies. Accurate thinking is not a talent you were born with. It is a skill you develop. It is a mental muscle that must be trained every single day until it becomes your default way of processing the world. The ninth step is to transform this tool into an unbreakable habit of accuracy.
How is this habit built? It is built through conscious daily practice. You must begin to approach your entire day as a training ground for your mind. When you read an article, practice dissecting the facts from the author's opinions and agenda. When you watch the news, analyze the emotional language being used to frame the story. When you find yourself in a conversation, listen carefully for the difference between what people know and what they merely believe. Most importantly, you must apply this rigor to yourself. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to review the decisions you made. Ask yourself, was that decision based on facts, or was it a reaction to my fear, my ego, or my desire for comfort? This daily self-analysis is not an act of criticism. It is the practice of a master honing their craft. You must also make it a habit to seek out facts before forming an opinion. The 98% form an emotional opinion first and then spend their time searching for facts to justify it. The accurate thinker does the opposite. They suspend their judgment until they have gathered the necessary, unbiased facts. This is a rare and powerful discipline. By practicing this daily, you will gradually build the habit of mental clarity. Your mind will become sharper, your decisions will become better, and your results will begin to transform. You are moving from being an amateur thinker, swayed by every emotion and opinion, to a professional thinker who operates from a foundation of fact and reason. This is the habit that builds empires.
A negative mind will never give you a positive life. We have now explored this #1 mental tool from every angle. We understand its nature, its application, and how to cultivate it as a daily habit. The 10th block is about understanding the ultimate result. The consistent practice of accurate thinking creates the one quality upon which all lasting success and wealth is built: sound judgment. Your life, your career, your fortune, all are the cumulative result of the thousands of judgments you make, both large and small. The quality of your judgment determines the quality of your life. The person who lives in poverty does so as the result of a lifetime of poor judgments based on the inaccurate thoughts of fear, ignorance, and second-hand opinions. The person who creates lasting wealth does so as the result of a lifetime of sound judgments based on facts, reason, and a clear purpose. When you master the art of accurate thinking, you master the art of sound judgment. You learn how to make the right decisions in your career. You learn how to invest your money wisely. You learn how to form powerful and harmonious alliances. You become the master architect of your own destiny, not because you can control the world, but because you can think clearly about it. You have torn down the invisible wall of fear-based opinion and stepped into the reality of fact-based creation. This is the true path to a self-made fortune. A fortune not just of money, but of wisdom and peace of mind. Your judgment is the foundation. Accurate thinking is how you ensure that foundation is built upon solid rock and not upon the shifting sands of fear.
Gratitude is the ultimate antidote to the poison of negativity. And so we arrive at the great conclusion. The #1 mental tool that separates the rich from the poor is the discipline of accurate thinking, for it is the creator of sound judgment. This is the ultimate promise of the EXIV mentality, to give you the mental tools to move from a life of chance to a life of choice, from a life of reaction to a life of creation. The power to think accurately is the greatest power you possess. It is the tool that builds all other things. You now have the blueprint. You understand the difference between facts and the opinions that have held you captive. You understand how to challenge your own fears and filter the influences of the outside world. You know that this skill, this tool, is the true source of all material riches and all spiritual freedom. The question is no longer what to do, but will you do it? Will you commit to the daily discipline of becoming an accurate thinker? Therefore, I invite you one final time to make a commitment to this great discipline. Subscribe to this channel, and in doing so, declare that you will become a master of your own mind, a practitioner of accurate thought, and the architect of your own great fortune. The tool is now in your hands. It is time to begin the work. Activate the X within you.